So, what's going on, y'all? You guys know that I usually try to put out these videos every now and then, things to that nature about just regular life and I guess the good things, bad things that happens and occurs. So, you know, I'm one of those type of people that I believe that you can't not put out some information, so you hold it to yourself and then you learn from it and then you don't share it with somebody else. I think that knowledge is power. My pops used to always tell me that growing up, knowledge is power. So one of the things, that that's on my heart today is the fact that how some people decide to cast judgment and, keep hold of things and they don't know how to let it go and they try to make you feel bad. One of the biggest things that I've always learned how to do is manage myself as I got older. And, brothers, I'm talking to you young guys, if your mom or your pops is allowing you to listen to this right now. Growing up can be a hard thing. It really ain't that easy. It's very difficult sometimes to, sit back and just say, what you really want to do. Sometimes it's really hard to, make I won't say better, but good choices. A lot of times choices that we make are, lifelong choices. And, some of the choices that I've made, and the reason why I'm making this video today is because, it's kind of like redemption. You really sit back and you want to redeem yourself for some of the things that you've done wrong. I can give you some good examples. Those who were incarcerated, you get out, society looks at you, you got a strike against you, and they say that you'll never be nothing, you'll never have nothing. You can never go out and get a regular job. You can never leave the country. Some of these things I never even knew. But here recently, I've just been taking the time out to just do some research about these things. And I'm like, man, that's pretty jacked up. You get a strike against you and you can't even leave the country. Then you got some of those guys like myself, who tries to do some things right, I guess in society's eyes, but end up getting caught up in some of the wrong actions. Me, it was just women growing up. Let's just be real with you. And that's why I said I'm talking to most of the guys out there that's young. Fellas, y'all gonna grow up. Y'all gonna take the time out. The girls are gonna look nice. They're gonna have the big booties and big breasts, things of that nature. But real talk, cute smile, big butt, big breasts, that stuff only lasts for so long. You really have to dig deep and get to know somebody. I tell my son that all the time about, relationships and things that he tries to get himself into. Really just be who you are, know who you are, know what you're about, know your worth, know what you're getting yourself into when you're getting into it. Just don't accept anything, anybody for that matter. When you accept anything, anybody, you really don't move ahead as much as you want to. And I realized that, some of the mistakes I've had, I've had some kids out of wedlock when I was divorced and, trying to reunite and actually regain some relationships. And just let me be real with you guys. Most people may agree with this, and then a lot of people won't agree. I've always been a firm believer when you have a child, that child should be wanted by two people, two parents. I don't, and this is just my personal belief, and I really don't care what people think, but I don't believe that, one parent or one adult should make a decision for one child when there's two people involved. I know too many people who are getting pregnant, females, and they get pregnant for all the wrong reasons. I got some really good stellar friends, those who really force their way into the dad's lives, and they make sure that, that man will not get away, not just financially, but, the emotional part. Hey, your daughter needs you or your son needs you. Those are the women who I commend. and can appreciate. What I have a problem with, what I really have a problem with is just, some of the women who find him a good man, and then, he falls back on hard times, or, he's really trying, and then maybe it's his fault. Maybe he's just not ready. For instance, in my situations, I was on top of my game, and then my whole world just started crashing. When my world crashed, you make poor choices, you make poor decisions, you become out of your element, and you do things that you normally don't do. And a lot of times, situations like that, you run into a lot of different people who really don't see that, because they really don't know you. What they do know of you is pretty much what they hold. And, I'm the same way, just like everybody else. First impression is your last impression. So when you meet somebody who is just messed up, not in their own, not focusing on the things they need to, and you catch them at a bad time, it makes a bad ruin. And it hurts my heart, because, myself and other people, who have been through some things, it's very hard for people to just let stuff go and to redeem themselves and do the right thing. I don't want to be biased in what I'm saying, just me, because of some of the situations I've allowed to put myself through, but more so just on a level note that, there's just a bunch of men and women that's going through this. I can only speak from the men proportion. I don't know nothing about how females look at things, how they handle things, but you young guys that's out there, really take your time out, focus, think, know what you want, know what you're getting yourself into. Something was said to me today, don't sleep with someone that you don't know. Don't sleep with someone who you don't know their ambitions. Don't sleep with someone you don't know their background. Don't sleep with someone who you don't know their parents. You don't know anything. I got so many things going through my head about this situation. It's ridiculous. I'm actually writing a book, and it should be out real soon. It's called Through the Storm, A through Z, how God can see you through it. A lot of times we go through these storms, and in these storms, we really don't understand how important it is that we need to dig deep and find out who we are. A lot of times we sit and we listen to people talk. Maybe you're listening to me right now, versus really writing out who we are, what our likes are. A lot of people don't take the time out to really figure out and dial in and tune in to who they are. That's a really big issue in our society today, because you got the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, all these different things. I tell my oldest son this all the time. Get off your phone. Do some reading or something. Get yourself geared up doing something else outside of video games and living in virtual reality, versus you getting out, being old school. Asking a girl out on a date, going out, hanging out with friends, being more interactive, versus, sitting up, being a hermit, pretty much. So, again, know yourself first before you get into whoever you want to get into as far as the relationship is concerned. And my best suggestion is abstinence, to be honest with you. You can't trust people nowadays. You can't trust what people say. You can't trust people, what they do. Sometimes it's a hard thing to do, because you really want to take time out and get to know somebody. I focus back on a lot of times how my mom and my uncles and them, they always tell me, even my stepdad, he used to always tell me, know who you're dealing with, it takes time. Well, to know who you're dealing with, it takes time. And a lot of times it's more so you knowing who they are by time, not by how much time you spend with them. And I guess what he meant by that is, hey, you could spend 80 hours a week with a person within 2 months and you still won't know them. But if you spend, adequate time throughout the week, 20 hours a week versus 80 hours a week, and then you do that over a length of time, someone will actually start showing who they are, versus you spending that time crammed up and be like, oh, okay, this is who I need to be with. I'm gonna marry this person, blah, 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 blah. So take it from the word, from the wisdom. I'm nobody important. I'm just an average guy in this country who's really just trying to make a mark on educating people more so about, especially young men. I know that there is a shortage of fathers out here, and let me say, I won't say bad fathers. I won't say there's a shortage of good fathers. What I will say is that, when it comes to dads, it really is a short thing, because you have situations where you have a lot of men who are young, immature, who don't know how to be men, who were raised by single moms that are not strong enough to really teach and gear and rear them and put them in boy things and activities and dial in on them, because you have 1 or 2 or 3, 4 plus kids, and it's very difficult for you to really dial in and to say, okay, I'm going to focus on this child, I'm going to make sure this child has the best of XYZ. That's pretty much the easy part, I guess, when it comes to, having one child. But when you have multiple kids, it becomes a little bit more hard and strenuous. Listen, nobody on this earth is perfect. And quite frankly, I'm just really sick of hearing about people, trying to mutilate people because of the mistakes they made. Look, we all got dirt. Let me just be real with you. All of us have dirt. None of us is perfect. None of us will go through life, having a, silver spoon or gold spoon saying, hey, this is what you should do, this is how you should do it, and this is what you're going to do. And one of my things is that, when you make your mistakes, learn from your mistakes. I tell my son this all the time. When you make a mistake, never get so down on yourself where you're down and out. But learn from the mistake that you made. Move on from that mistake. Don't revisit that same mistake. And then press forward. You're always going to have haters. Maya Angelou says it in one of her poems. Haters are to be loved, because haters are the ones who drive you to be better than what you are. Because they always hate something that they did not have. For my young men now who have been in the situation, and you have a baby mama or you have an ex-wife, the best thing to do, let me just be honest with you, I will say, as a black man, the first thing you should do is spend time, try to reconcile a relationship between you and that woman that you have created a child with. The hardest thing to do. A lot of people sit here and say that it's easy, but it's not. It's one of the hardest things to do, because a lot of times when you try to reconcile with someone who hurt you, you've hurt them, pain doesn't leave. And brothers, let me tell you, women don't forget stuff. They will hold on to stuff, and I'm 37 years old. They will hold on to stuff for over a decade. They won't let it go. They will constantly be reminded of what you've said, what you may have done, what you did not do, what they thought you should have done. And if there are brothers out there that's the same way, you know what? Let it go. Let it go. It's not about you. It really isn't. And even if you had a child that you didn't want, because she made the decision to have that child and you was like, I don't want it. That's another one of those hard situations. It's very, 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 very difficult to swallow that. But I would say the right thing to do, again, is to kind of man up, muster the energy to kind of deal with that. Now, let me say this. Just because I said man up, muster up, try to do your best, doesn't mean man up, do your best, get walked on, get trampled on, keep taking it, keep taking the abuse, keep taking the verbal abuse. Look, you're a man. And women, you guys need to lay off of that. Because if it was the situation reversed, you wouldn't want him pounding on you verbally and emotionally like that. Men do have feelings too. And men really do want to be more proactive. From what I've seen, this trend of women saying that there's no good brothers out there. Well, it takes a good woman to raise a good man. And the cycle will change from that point on. Because yes, in the past there were unfit fathers out there, just trying to ejaculate and come and just move forward. But it takes two. And it really does take two. It takes one woman to stop talking about what he didn't do and how many years went past and this person has this and oh, by the way, he or she has a father figure because you're not here and that's their dad. Listen, I've dealt with that for 18 years. My oldest son now can contest to what I'm saying. Women, another man could never take the place of a real father. That man can be there and do everything right and can give that child every love, peace that you wanted. But guess what? That child will always seek out its real father. Believe me, I was 32 years old. I found my dad. I seeked him out. I spent a lot of money to find him. Why? Stepfather wasn't good enough. My oldest son said the same thing. He was not around for a good while because of his mom. And I've been there all his life. The relationship got real tough where she didn't want certain things to happen. I won't go into detail about it. But overall, in the end, he came back home to me. Why? Because he told me just yesterday. He was like, Pops, look, my stepdad was great. I called him Dad. I did things with him. I went out of town. I played ball with him. I did all kind of stuff. But he's like, you know what, Dad? There's nothing like having you around. Because I knew you. I wanted to find you. You was always there. Guess what? That means a lot. Not only to him, but to me. Because it also taught me that the same thing that I knew to back up my logic and how I think, that a man or a young woman will always seek out their true blood. Can't no other person take their place. So females, stop doing that. Stop trying to replace another man with a man because you made a bad choice, or you feel in your whatever motives that this man should not be a part of the child's life. It's not fair to the child. It's not fair to that man. And you, on God's earth, you don't have the power to create. God gave you life for that child. He gave you life. He gave you too the tools to create life. And it doesn't mean because you carry that child, hey, let's get back biblically on that. It was because of Eve why you have to carry a child in hurt, in labor, in pain. And because of that, Adam had to sow seeds. He had to work. He had to sweat. He had to do the 9 to 5 hustle. So let's not get so far off in saying who kid is what. And this is my child and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. Because it's just not fair. It really isn't. And for you men out there, you young men that's watching this, for you guys who do pick this up and you're like, hey, you ain't got nothing to do and you're just watching YouTube, let's just be real. You guys got to stop. You're making a bad name for a lot of us good men out here who is trying to be a good dad. This is 2016. It's really time for a change. If you lay down with a woman, and like I said earlier in this video, try to make amends with her. Try to do what's right by your child. If you can't do anything else and she don't want you around, let me tell you this. Pay for it. Pay for it. I hate to sound like this, but pay for the child and then allow that child to grow up. And then it's in the court system. Make sure you go to court. As much as we don't like court because we can't financially take care of it, that's fine. Visit my website, Predator Riders, www.predatorriders.org. That's with 2 R's. Or just look up Predator Riders with the Y instead of an I. You can look at that site and eventually you'll see where you can have documents, telephone numbers, all that stuff, where you guys can go out and find it in one-stop shop. Because there's really no other place online that actually is doing that. So that's what we're trying to do. But this isn't about the organization. This isn't about the club. This is just real talk. Because, you can go to church all day long. And you can hear the ministers talk about things. You can, listen to people, even myself. And a lot of times you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. This is not my situation. But you know what? Wisdom doesn't come free 90% of the time. Wisdom comes with a price. And when someone is kicking out knowledge and it's free wisdom, I've always been taught to take it. So, again, I'm not going to make this video too long. It's already about 19 and a half minutes. I just want to shoot this out there and talk to you guys a little bit about it, and recap on what I'm saying. Women, you know what? Quit trying to do something that you can't do alone, that wasn't meant for you to do alone. And then quit utilizing, resources that shouldn't be available to you. And that means putting a man on child support. putting a child through the situation where that child will grow up without a father. And men, if you do sleep with this woman, and she decides to keep this child, you don't have to love her. It's idea that you do, because it's always idea that you create a family and stick with the family. But we understand that this isn't life. We understand that this is not how it really is 90% of the time. So, let me just be real with you. Take the time out. Try to talk to her. Try to do what's best. Never give gifts. Just give her money and make it a money order. Put child support or something on it. But let it be known that you are attempting to do something for that child. And if she is a hateful person, and she is bitter, and she won't let things go, and she really wants to make your name mud, and women, listen, this is nothing against you, but I know men do the same thing, because I know men as custodial fathers that drag their baby moms through hell and back. It really isn't fair. But my point is, in saying, as a non-custodial parent, is, whether you male or female, take the time out to do what's right for your child. Take the time out to fix what you've messed up. Don't listen to people and they crap and they garbage telling you what you're not. Don't listen and take the abuse of anybody who doesn't see a bright future for anything. Those people are considered selfish people. Those people will never prosper. Those people will never get ahead, because they live and they feed off of negativity. And if people can't let things go, and then you found somebody and it's in your life and they can't let things go, then you let it go. If you're not a praying person, pray for them. If you don't want to pray for them, guess what? Just don't deal with them. Give them some money. Call it a day. Keep it moving. I know women, it's hard for you all, because I have a friend. She has 3-4 kids. She has custody of none of her children. And her fathers do. She has 2 different fathers. And it's very difficult for her to figure some things out. And because it's really hard for her to, gain that type of right and custody. Her kids are out of state too. So it's very hard for her to let it go, because he won't let it go. And all she wants is her kid. All she wants is to be a part of her kid's life, to go to graduations and things to that nature. And, just let me tell you guys, it really ticks me off, and I can't even be nice about it, It's just really bad how, we treat one another, and this has to stop, and I'm really going to talk about, black people. Black people, we need to stop. We need to stop trying to treat each other like slaves and try to beat each other down, and then take something that doesn't belong to somebody else and force things on one another. I mean, that's called slave mentality. And that cycle's been going on for generations within our culture. And it's very sickening to just hear all these stories, and just do the right thing. Fellas, do the right thing. You guys will get more of these videos. You guys will get a lot more time to really sit and think about this. And I hope the parents that's watching this, really take the time out to just really kick it with your kid. Pops, you guys out there that's dads and stuff like that, really take the time out. If you got little girls, teach them what a man's supposed to be. Not verbally. Be the example. It's a whole different thing. My wife tells me all the time about being the example. She tells me that, doing a daddy-daughter dance and, going quadding. I did some of this stuff recently with my kid. And, just spending time with them and allowing them to know that, hey, this is what a man's supposed to be like. That's actually a really good thing. I really didn't know and understand about, being a dad to a daughter, because this is a whole different world from, boys. But it's just as important for a man to be in a little girl's life as well. And, guys that's doing it, I commend you guys. I really applaud you guys for stepping up and doing your thing. We did this thing called Fatherhood Challenge on Facebook. You guys will be getting a lot more of those things, a lot more tweets. We have t-shirts talking about enough is enough. enough is enough. We really got to stop taking this lightly and taking it more serious. So again, guys, do what you do. Women, please change. For the mothers that are looking at this, if you guys feel like I'm challenging, I'm stepping on your toes, so be it. I think my toes has been challenged, stepped on every single day as a father who has children outside of, not my marriage per se, but just not being married, just having, a few children, with women I'm no longer with. So, take the time out, think about this. Again, if you guys want any more information, you can always visit my website at, predatorriders.org. And, I really hope you guys take the time out and look at some more videos. Comments is always welcome. I love to just converse about stuff like this. This is like my passion. If I could do this full time, I would. Because I get tired of seeing kids hurt. I get tired of seeing adults hurt. I get tired of seeing grown men cry because they can't be with their kids. And then I get tired of seeing females use the system, to their advantage, and men. But again, I'm not going to keep going on a rant. Y'all take care. Y'all be easy. And, we'll talk about this some other time. Peace.